Now, if you're anything like myself, then money hasn't always been the easiest thing to come by. And especially when money is sometimes seen as a taboo topic to speak about, it doesn't make the overall situation easier. And that is for good and bad reasons. But essentially, I believe that we should be able to have more open and honest conversations about money. And I'm not saying divulging how much we have in our bank accounts or talking about all the assets we own, etc. But being able to, understand from other people around us, or even on the internet, like YouTube, ways that we can manage our money that can essentially help us, or even ways that we have previously managed our money that that have detracted from us, that have made our pockets thin. And essentially, by having this conversation, it will allow us to be able to have more transparency over money, be able to have visibility on our own money, and be able to create a financial plan. And just to call that one word overall, to put that into one bucket, that would essentially be by having a budget. So throughout my financial journey, like many of us, I've found that I've been part of many different budgets that I've been able to stick to for a decent amount of time, sometimes short amount of time, but they've always fallen through. Those are for various different reasons that I don't need to get into. But we all know why our budgets fall through eventually. But what I have found is that clearly something was missing. So just to go to one step further than that, I've realized that different fundamentals, across other sections of your life can be applied to something like a budget, of course, and they can be meshed together to make something that, long term you're actually going to be able to use. Long term is going to bring benefit to your life. You're probably thinking, what exactly am I talking about here? And this here is essentially the use of data analytics within a budget and how they can mesh together to bring forward something that is more valuable, something I'm actually going to long term stick to. And to be particular, that would be using the data analytics life cycle within budgeting, so as a step-by-step process, and how it not only makes it more clear and concise, but actually makes it something that's easy to follow. Point one to this would be essentially, if we're looking at data analytics lifecycle discovery, so looking exactly at your data. So applying this here to a budget, it will be discovery of your money. And if we had to look at this as an overall sentence, this would be starting with why. So why do you want to have this budget? Now, starting with why is such a critical component to most decisions we're going to make in our life, if not every decision we're going to make in our life, but it's often neglected by us, which leaves us in a situation where we don't understand why we're doing things, why we often just push away from doing things. But here it can apply. So looking at the budget and really why you're having this budget, looking at the fundamental reasons. So example, having a why reason which is bigger than yourself. So looking at something like being able to provide for your dependencies, whether that's a mom, a dad, children, whatever it may be in your life, really allow you to stick to the program long term, allow you to be disciplined, allow you to be more intentional. And if you want to hear about being intentional, in particular how to attract wealth by being intentional, then a link above to one of my previous videos. Now, regarding starting with why, there's a book called Start With Why, authored by a man named Simon Sinek. Sorry if I butchered that last name, but essentially this book goes over this philosophy but from a business point of view. And one of the main takeaways from this book was actually a subject matter called the Golden Circle. And it showcases 3 different circles labeled what, how, and why. Why being the most inner circle and what being the most outer circle. And how most organizations start with the most outer circle but don't actually know why they're doing things. So just applying this here, by starting with the most inner circle, we can work with why and then get all the way out to the what. What being our budget, why being the real reason why we're going to be intentional with our budget. Now, step number 2 here within the data analytics lifecycle would be understanding our data, so doing a data prep. So just applying this to the budget, this is essentially understanding our money, tracking our money, essentially getting an overview of what's going on, a general picture. And the best way we can do this would be by getting, example, your bank statement for those of us that get paid through our bank. When looking at your bank statement, I'll aim to get around 3 to 6 months, so you can actually get a real understanding over a decent time period. So really understanding how much you spend on food every month, how much you spend on rent, things that are obviously one-time expenses that you can kind of just knock off. And then with this being said, when you're getting your bank statement, I know banks, like example, Monzo, that provides in CSV, but if you're unfortunate like me and your main bank account is Halifax, for example, then you're going to get this in PDF. So the reason why I say unfortunate, but definitely not the end of the world, is because with a CSV file, you can open that on Excel as per, whereas with the PDF file, this would be extra steps. So extracting it as per, transforming it so it's actually usable by Excel, and then loading it. But I'll show on screen essentially how to do this, alongside providing a link on my description where a guy's gone over the tutorial of how to essentially load PDF files into Excel. Now that everything's on the Excel spreadsheet, we can now start to see exactly what we're spending our money on, which we can see on the bank statement, but exactly what we can manipulate to, save money here, save money there, essentially add towards the budget, move towards the budget. And that directly links into the next step. Now for step number 3, this is normally within the data analytics lifecycle model planning. But actually what we're going to do here is we're going to combine 2 steps from the data analytics lifecycle and then apply it to budgeting. So here this would be model planning and model building. Unfortunately for us, we can actually use templates online, so use different budgeting techniques here, one in particular, as well as different spreadsheets for general budgeting going forward, and one that I actually found that I really liked, which will be in the description. Now the 50-30-20 split is just a guideline or a template that we're using for our budget, but it doesn't have to be a hard rule we have to stick by. Essentially this is going to kind of be our baseline, so what we're trying to get to, because I know at this moment in time, especially with everything that's going on, it's unrealistic for some people to actually have the necessities fall below 50%, where for someone like myself, I'm fortunate right now to actually have necessities fall way below 50%. But going forward, we should try to aim to get this below 50%, as a baseline, so that it will be beneficial for us to go forward, so we can actually still spend money on our wants, just to enjoy our money, and especially, in my opinion, definitely put money towards savings, so an emergency fund, and still being able to invest for the future, so that we can set ourselves good, and even set people within our family tree good, so children, grandchildren, etc. Regarding the 50-30-20 split as a baseline or guideline for your money, alongside the Excel template that's provided, you now have a real plan for your money going forward before it even comes in, so you know where every dollar, every pound, every euro is going to go. And with this being said, just looking at the 20% sector, the savings and investing part, I would ideally start with trying to have a fully funded emergency fund. So by looking at trying to get up to a minimum of 3 months, and then as a stretch target to have 6 months, just because of the times that we're in, and how everything can just go left all of a sudden. Now once you've sorted out your emergency fund, so having a minimum of 3 months of expenses, and then if you want to go for a stretch target of 6, you can now start dabbling with the market, and looking to invest, so dollar cost averaging into the asset in question. You can also look at setting up a savings account, so for big ticket items that you really want to buy, so a car, a house, whatever you want to get involved in. And a way to make this easy or seamless is by introducing automation, and the best way to do this is using standing orders, and that's what I actually do myself. So the way standing order work is that it's a reoccurring date every month that takes money out of your account. So for me, that's actually the day after payday. Money comes out of my account and goes to various different places. So one place I have money going into is a savings account for big ticket items, as previously mentioned, and I previously had one for an emergency fund as well, but at this present moment in time, my emergency fund is fully funded. But with the way everything's going, I'm probably going to activate that again, just to keep myself on the safer side, just in case anything goes wrong. Never hurts to be safe rather than sorry. Now the final step for the data analytics lifecycle is essentially communicating and measuring success. So applying this to the budget, this would be looking at what went well over the month, because this would be done on a monthly basis. And I would say this is the most important part to all the work you've done, because after creating the budget, looking at how much you spend, transferring data from here to there, understanding what you've done, if you're able to maintain everything you've set up, the targets, and seeing if you're actually able to hit your targets in question is the most critical, because this will allow you to long term actually know if you can stick to this budget, you can actually improve what you've done. So be more aggressive in certain departments. Example, be more aggressive if you're investing, reduce your let's call it your baseline, so for your necessities, or maybe even for your wants, or maybe even treat yourself more because you deserve it and it's your hard-earned money. And overall, just improve over time, because that's the purpose of understanding your money, seeing where you can, and I don't want to call it penny pinching, but seeing where you can penny pinch that can allow you to advance or excel in hitting your financial goals, targets in question. And that's all I wrote. I hope this video was able to give you some insight into the mind of a data analyst and how something like data analytics can be applied to something distinct like personal finance, budgeting in particular, and be meshed together to provide something of value to you and to myself, of course, as well. And if you did get any value from this video at all, then definitely leave me a like, leave me a comment about what you liked, ways you're going to implement this into your own life, and definitely stay tuned for more videos like this to come. Stay tapped in. And in the meantime, while you're waiting for something new, a video over here around some of the companies that I invest in, and some information around them.